Hi guys, so it's me, Nicolette Mashile. I am also known as the Financial Bunny. Welcome to the Financial Bunny TV. I've missed you guys. Every time I do a video, I feel like I have not done a video in a long time. And I really do apologize, guys. It's been so overwhelming. It's been absolutely crazy. But I'm in a good space now to be able to create content, right? And I just want to remind you, nothing that I say on this channel constitutes as financial advice. If you are looking for financial advice, please do speak to somebody that is certified and registered with the FSCA. So today, guys, I want to tell you guys something funny. It's so funny. So today, so I've been having, my car got maliciously vandalized. This guy got upset at a at a parking lot. We're trying to get at the parking. So he went around me because I was taking too long to get out. And then he hit my mirror. And then obviously I chased him down. And then he hit my other mirror. And it was just a mess. So obviously my mirrors needed to get fixed. And then, so I put in a claim to my insurance, right? And my insurance has been dilly-dallying. So I was like, oh, y'all think you're the only insurance company in this country. Let me show you how we are going to operate this. I'm going to wait for you to put in my claim. And then I'm going to jump because you guys are actually irritating me. I don't understand why I have to fight. And it's not even about them paying. They've paid. They've agreed to pay. But they've just been so lackluster about it. Like, I just don't understand why when you take my money, it's very fast. Mara, when I need you to help me, it's not fast anymore, you know? So anyway, so I call this insurance company. Well, I put in a call me back on the internet. And I'm like, please call me back. So this lady calls me back, guys. But now, obviously, I've had problems with FNB. Oh, I must tell you guys that story with FNB last week. Like, literally on Friday, I needed money. Now, I've got money in my 32-day account. And then they also gave me a credit card. But by some miracle, when you log into the banking profile, I can't see the credit card. I can see it, but I can't transact from it. So I'm like, okay, Sharp, I can't transact from it. I call FNB Business Banking. They're also not answering. Or they're not. First of all, the lady said she couldn't see the account. Then after not seeing the account, it was, no, you can't use you need to send us a mandate to link the account. Then they've sent me forms. I sent the mandate. This is Friday. So again, that facility was useless to me. And then I tried to withdraw from my 32-day account, and I was willing to take the penalty. And then the money didn't come through. Literally, like, I've been having so much issues. Like, I must tell you guys this FNB story because today, this week, it's been more frustrations from them. Every time I call them, then they tell me the mandate I signed last week is actually useless. You actually have to register separately for your business banking. You can't have it linked to your personal one. Then I say, okay, let me register. Then I try to register. Then I get told, no, you are registered immediately when you open the account. But now it's inactive, so we've got to delete it and you've got to start again. Then I try to start again. Then they say they want a card number and a PIN number. Then I give them the card number of the credit card. Then they say, no, you can't use the credit card PIN number. Then I say, well, my business doesn't have a check card. Then they say, okay, use your personal one. Then I'm like, we're going backwards, Moose. You told me I can't use personal. Guys, it's been such a mess. But that's not the story that I'm trying to talk about today. I want to talk about influencer rates and content creation rate. But I'm going to tell you the story about this insurance lady. So I am now changing insurance. So you can understand I'm already frustrated, right? So on the phone, we're talking. But obviously my tone is like off. Not off like rude, but I'm down and I'm frustrated and I'm irritable. And then also my tone is like low. So it's not like this that we're doing here, right? So she says to me, Nicolette, are you okay? So I'm like, no, I'm frustrated. Like, I've been frustrated for the last 2 weeks. She's like, I can hear. You know, I watch a lot of your videos and you don't sound like this. I'm like, well, my sister, this is a phone call. Those are videos. I cannot sound the same. Yeah? You know what I mean? Come on, guys. Guys, come on. She's like, you don't sound. I'm like, I'm so sorry for my tone. Like, I really apologize for my tone, but I'm very frustrated. Anyway, that was the comic relief for today, so very happy to have had that, and I do apologize to this lady. If she is watching right now, I really apologize. That is not like me, but obviously, Sisi, a phone call, a video, YouTube, as far as izinto, okay? Anyway, so I had a call yesterday from a fellow content creator, and they wanted to know, how do I actually cost, because she's never really worked with brands and she wants to know how to cost. I get this question a lot. Another one, there was a young lady who's an MC who also asked me a couple of weeks ago. There was a lady who asked me to send my rate card because she wanted to create a rate card. And I realized that this conversation is actually a very big conversation because we don't talk enough about it. So the common practice within the content and influencer space in this country, or I don't know about the rest of the world, is that you have what is called a rate card, right? Now, on your rate card, you will specify how much you charge for specific things. And perhaps maybe I've been doing it wrong, and maybe that's why I'm having this big epiphany. And it literally happened in my conversation last week with another brand that wanted to work with me. So, and I'll tell you guys, for me, why the rate card method is flawed, and what my suggestion is. Now, when you put together a rate card, you basically will say emceeing, and you will put a rate for emceeing, or emceeing 1 hour, emceeing 2 hours, emceeing half day, full day. You will put in Facebook video, or you'll put in Instagram video. You'll put in Twitter tweet, 1 tweet, 2 tweets. You'll put in Instagram stories. Or what often happens is that when it's itemized like that, a lot of the brands will say they don't have the budget to be able to pay you for that. So what they'll ask you is for a package. So put together a package. So you'll maybe say, I will do, for 60,000 Rand, I will do 2 videos. I'll do 2 Instagram stories with a link in my bio, and. What people don't realize is the opportunity cost that you've got to keep in mind when you are billing like that. The problem with billing like that is that the client will look at the cost like that, and they will say, okay, you've got 5 stories or 5 Instagram video or YouTube videos at 10,000 Rand a video, so we'll pay you 50,000 Rand for the entire campaign. But what you don't realize is that you are now saying, in a way, I am working and I'm affiliated to this brand. So I am now working with the specific, let's say for instance, a bank. You saying I'm now affiliated to this bank, even if there's no exclusivity clause. So generally what an exclusivity clause is that for the time period of the campaign, you can only work with this specific bank. The problem with it is that if there's no exclusivity clause, or if there's an exclusivity clause, you can go one way. What a lot of content creators do is that if there's an exclusivity clause, content creators will charge a little bit more for the exclusivity of working with that specific bank. But many people don't calculate it correctly, again, because it is an association. An association can really never ever be quantified. That's why when you see ambassador deals, that's why they are in the regions of 7 figures, because it is an association that says potentially all the other banks and sometimes even financial institutions, because these days banks, insurance companies, they all offer the same investments, they all offer the same type of products. They may say, we're no longer going to work with you because we've seen you working with another brand, right? So it is important to factor in association, whether it is for campaign level. But remember also, your campaign may be 3 months. So you may be signing this thing as at a lower cost for 3 months. They don't put an exclusivity cost. But when our friends who work in marketing are sitting in those rooms, when agencies are advising their clients, they will say things like, 3 months ago, she worked with this and this and this bank. This is your biggest competitor. Do you want to work with this person? So it's important that when you are costing, you bring those things to the table and explain to the brands that, look, this is the situation. And that is why costing based on just a platform sometimes can actually lead you astray. So that's one thing. It's the association that you've got to cost for. And the association goes hand in hand with opportunity cost. Because today, you may be getting put on a campaign that's going to be giving you 100,000 Rand. Meanwhile, tomorrow, there may be a campaign with a competitor brand that's going to give you 500,000 Rand. But obviously, you're not a psychic. You don't know what's still going to come tomorrow. So it's about what's on the table. But make sure you don't scam yourself and cheat yourself just so that you can work with that brand. And then tomorrow you're kicking yourself. So it's also important to understand the type of creator you are. Are you a promo creator? Are you a content creator? Are you a subject matter expert? Are you somebody who wants to influence people based on your knowledge, or is it based on content that you're creating? So all of these things are very, very important, because that opportunity cost is a real cost. And you're going to feel it with every single campaign that you take up. The important thing is so that you don't feel like you have snubbed yourself is to make sure you cost correctly. It's important, right? The second thing that is flawed about costing on a rate card only based on platform is that, to be fair, you need to actually sit down with the client and say, what is the content that you want me to create? Because you should actually be costing based on the efforts that are needed to create the content that a client is looking for. And I'm not talking about bringing in videographers and a film crew and location and aesthetics. I'm talking about the actual content. Because, for instance, if I get a brand that says to me, can you do 4 videos for us on YouTube? They want me to cost on based on the platform. I say no. I'm costing you based on the efforts it takes for me to create the content that you need. What am I doing? Am I doing education and making your product or platform or service a reference? Am I fully going full on? Am I doing a platform review? Am I doing just a plug to say, oh, today we're talking about housing, but do remember that there is an e-wallet platform span. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's just a quick integrated plug of whatever it is the brand. Am I doing something that shows the alignment to your brand? So, for instance, if you are a pay service company, for instance, and you pay into Zimbabwe, if I tell a story about paying my helper and how she doesn't have a bank account, and actually this platform has made it easy for me to pay. I'm not talking about your brand specifically. If I'm talking about tax-free savings accounts, and then I specifically call out the Stanlib one or the Sanlam one, I'm speaking about a group of products, but I'm using your brand as a reference. So how you're going to do the content and the type of content you're going to be doing is very, very important. That's how you should be costing, based on effort, what it takes from you, and also how much of the brand needs to be in the content, because that is also going to be very important. Platform is a platform. Yes, you have numbers. Yes, you have followers. Yes, you have engagement, but you need to make the content engaging enough that it doesn't come across to your audiences as a hard sell. And if it's a hard sell, how much are you costing on it? There is making a reference, there is a soft sell, there is education. All of those things have different costings. And that is why the rate card sometimes makes it very difficult. So before you even commit on a cost to client, ask them, can I have a brief? There's nothing wrong with you asking for a brief. In fact, when you ask for a brief, you seem and you show that you actually have an interest in the campaign. You ask for a brief. You then give them a content plan or a content outline of how you're going to do things. Yes, things change. But if they don't give you a content outline, then you create one. And then you say, are you happy with this? Are you happy with the key messaging? Are you happy with the way I'm going to deliver it? This also minimizes the back and forth of clients saying, I don't really like this. You missed the mark, whatever. It's easier to do this because then you know the effort. Then you also do it one time and they can make tweaks here and there. They can tell you, we don't want this, we don't like that, we don't like that. So again, the rate card, because it's based only on platform, sometimes very, very dangerous for you to be able to use. The last thing you need to factor in, and it happens a lot, many clients have what is called scope creep. Scope creep basically is when a client has agreed on a brief, they've agreed on the deliverables, and then out of the blue, they just switch it up on you and bring something else that they want you to do. Why don't you just? Can you just do this? Can you just do that? You must mitigate that. I know sometimes it's very hostile to go back to a client and say, but right now you're doing what is called scope creep. Right now you're asking me now for things that we did not discuss. Right now you're doing 1, 2, 3, 4. So instead of you being this angry person inside because you don't want to voice it out, because you also don't want to piss your client off, it is better to make sure that in your costing, you factor those types of things in. So you factor in any scope creep, you factor in any type of, you make sure that you cushion yourself for anything, because you know what? It is always the clients that pay you the least that ask for the most. And that's because they've realized that you are actually willing to bend a little bit. And there's nothing wrong with bending, especially where you are working with a client where you can see that there is a potential future relationship that you're going to have. Client, agency, and content creator relationships are so important, and they need to be nurtured with the utmost diplomacy in the world. But the only way to do that is to be very upfront and very straightforward. You don't want to be ambiguous in what you are saying. You also don't want to say one thing to agency and one thing to client. Let me tell you, the biggest mistake you will ever make is to think because you know the people that work at the agency, they are your friends. They may be your friends, but client is their client. You are their client. You are agency client. Agency is your client, and their client is the brand. So don't think ever that, yes, they are fair, they do things by the book, but don't think that they are friends where you are now getting comfortable and you are talking out of pocket about brands. Also, don't do that thing where you go to brand and talk out of pocket about your agency. So it's very important also, very much. I've made those mistakes before because sometimes you've worked with these people or you've bumped into them at events and you guys have become really good friends because they tell you, oh, we loved you and all of that and then you want to talk smack about the agency. Not fair. Don't do that. The last thing that's important when it comes to, how much do you cost is your terms and conditions. Do make sure that you are clear on your payment terms and conditions. Do you want a 50% upfront? Do you want 50% on delivery of content? Is it 50% on posting? Or is it 50% at the end of the campaign? It's very important. Is it 50% on invoicing? Or is it 50% we're done, you're waiting now, they must pay you? Very, very important to also nurture those relationships, because the back and forth of asking, when is my invoice getting processed? When is my invoice getting processed? That can really annoy you. And the problem sometimes is that your client liaison or your campaign manager may tell you something different, but their agency has different processes. Agency says, nah, you will wait for 30 days and it's only on invoice. The brand manager or brand campaign manager has said, no, we'll pay you as soon as you are done. Make sure that you get that and it's very, very clear to you exactly how you are going to get paid and when you are actually going to get paid. I think that will really, really assist you. And then you must also factor in reverts. So, for instance, I work with an editor, and I know that with my editor, after the third revert, they now start charging. My graphic designer does the same thing, So make sure that when you are doing all of those things and you are costing to client, you factor all of those things in. And if you feel that actually, it's going to blow my cost out of a thingy or out of the client's budget, you either make peace with it or you don't. What I'm saying is, don't overcompromise yourself to a situation where you are now upset while you are on set or while you're creating the content. But don't overshoot yourself. So when people ask, how much do you charge, Nicolette? I'm like, it's impossible for me to say how much I charge, And the thing is, it also sounds very wishy-washy for me to say I charge based on the client. But to be quite honest, I do charge based on client. My channel and the brands that I work with cannot all be charged the same because the content they want me to create is not the same. So you need to find your method in the madness. It's unlike when you work in the freelance space where, there is a guide to how much you should charge per word. If you're writing a blog, how much you should charge for half a day of photography. So, all of those things, it's great that there's, these guidelines. But I do think with content creation, we've been thrown a spanner in the works and things are starting to look a little differently. It's like I was using this example with this young lady yesterday and I said, you're a builder, a construction person, right? You cannot build based on building. You have to build based on what house you are building. For Nicolette, you may be building a 4-bedroom house with 4-bathroom ensuite, whatever. For Tandy, you may be building a 6-bedroom house, whatever. Your cost as a builder may stay the same, but the type of house you are building may change the cost slightly. So yes, it's okay to have a base, but make sure that you are also billing on content, on the actual content. The other thing you must build, and I know I said the last thing like 5 minutes ago, the other thing you must also be very wary of is usage. Where are they going to use the content? And you need to build your usage. Because you can create one video and client says, no, we're going to use it in this campaign. And then sningling, you wake up and now your content is being used again in another campaign, or there's a snippet of, no. Yes, the content you create under that campaign paid for by client is their content, but the usage of it, because it's your face, they need to be explicit, and you must ask, you must always ask. If it's not going on your platforms and it's going on their platforms, what is the usage? And if you feel that actually on the cost that I gave you to do the content, the usage is not fair because you're going to use this for the next 12 months, then you must bill for usage. So it's very important to factor all of these things in. But if you are a content creator and you've got a different way of doing things, I'd love to hear it in the comment section. Please let me know how you're doing things. Let's improve each other. Let's help each other out. I really am keen to have this conversation. In fact, I'd love to have this conversation with other content creators. So maybe I'll bring them into the conversation just to find out how they are doing some of their stuff. I will see you guys on the next one. And do remember, nothing that is said on this video constitutes as advice or financial advice or legal advice. If you need any of those services, please consult the people that are registered to be able to give you, or registered and authorized to be able to give you that financial and advice. Bye.